going on, Dolphin fans? Got some news for you. Some front office jobs have been filled, assigned, changed around, people moved around. I'm going to give you that. There was a tweet by Adam Beasley that detailed some of the front office positions. It's kind of boring stuff most of us fans don't care about, but it's just to kind of give you an idea of how the front office is being reorganized. And then I got some news on Darren Rizzi, which is not so happy. All right, so first, let's get to the front office stuff. So, from Adam Beasley, I'll just read you his tweet real quick. The Miami Dolphins today announced a series of additions and promotions in their front office. Marvin Allen has joined the organization as an assistant general manager, which we already knew about. The team also announced the following promotions: Ron Brockington to senior national scout, J.P. Correa to player personal scout, Adam Engroff and Anthony Hunt to co-directors of player personnel, Brandon Shore to Vice President of Football Administration, and Matt Winston to Assistant Director of College Scouting. All of these positions will report directly to General Manager Chris Greer. So yeah, there's that. So now that that's done, let's get to the real news that's kind of a big deal. So it looks like Darren Rizzi will be leaving Miami, and no matter what anybody says, that is a major blow to this Dolphins organization. He was like I think, he was the longest tenured coach. He'd been around for like 8 or 9, 10 years, something like that. I don't know exactly. I should know that, but I don't. But anyway, it looks like he will be moving on. And it's funny though, because, there was a tweet by Matthew Kanata. He puts out some stuff, and most of the time I do not agree with him because he's kind of a clown with most of the shit that he says, it seems. I don't know. He says some ridiculous shit. Every once in a while I agree with something he says. He's kind of like Omar Kelly to me. Anyway, this is what he says though. He's like, Darren Rizzi was a phenomenal coach, but let's not act like it's going to doom Miami. He was with the Dolphins from 2010 to 2018, so 8 years. Their record was 65 and 79. Defense and offense, obviously much more important. So the reason why I'm reading that to you is because I want to analyze that for a second. First and foremost, 65 and 79. So that's 14 games less. We won 14 games less than we lost in that time period, right? Okay. So defense and offense, obviously much more important. Well, no shit. Just simple math will tell you that 2/3 of a team that actually spend far more time on the field over the course of the entire game, of course, is going to be more important than special teams. Of course. Like, that should go without saying. So, it's not like fucking, look, the point I'm ultimately making is that Darren Rizzi and that special teams were the one unit that we had on the entire team that was trustworthy, that we knew we never had to worry about, right? We knew that Darren Rizzi was going to hold that shit down. Every once in a great while, we have a game here and there where some fucked up shit happens, right? But for the most part, that was it. So, and a lot of those close games that we had in the past couple years under Adam Gase, where he won like 80% of the close games or more that we were in, was because of special teams. Okay, so yeah, if we had a better offense and defense, sure, we could have won more games, but I bet you anything that if our special teams sucked just as bad as the rest of the team did, then, at various times or whatever, then we wouldn't have even won that many games. So, obviously, 2/3, when you look at it just from the perspective of there's 3 units on a football team: offense, defense, and special teams. Of course, the portion that from that perspective equals 2/3 as opposed to 1/3 of the overall team Of course, that's going to weigh more heavily. But then you also look at from the perspective of, well, who actually spends more time on the field? Obviously, the offenses and defenses spend substantially more time on the field. Special teams plays are like 15 seconds at most of the time, right? And that's if you get like a run back on a kickoff. So of course those things are going to have far more weight. But if you just take like and this is where people don't put things into full context, right? They just say shit. Because then if you actually look at a lot of those games that we won that were super close over the past couple years with Adam Gase, we won those on special teams. We won the Jakeem Grant run back against the Jets like 2 years, or in 16, I think it was. There were several games where it was our special teams that was the deciding factor, and that's why dude, like, it's just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. Like, come on, bro. Put that shit into context. Losing Darren Rizzi is going to be a major blow to this organization. He is one of the most respected and one of the best special teams coaches in the league. And that is the reason why that we never had to worry about it. Who knows who our special teams coordinator is going to be? It doesn't matter who it is. The point is that they're, I mean, unless it's another Darren Rizzi that has, 15 years, in the NFL, or, whatever, 10 years in the NFL, proving that he can put consistent, and high-performing special teams units on the field, it's going to be either somebody who's a downgrade or we just don't know, right? So no matter how you look at it, losing Darren Rizzi is going to be a major blow to this organization. So, and who knows, man? We'll see what happens. I'm not low on the incoming coaching staff. I think the coaching staff overall looks like it's going to be a pretty solid coaching staff, but Brian Flores is going to be a first-year head coach. He's doing this for the very first time ever, and it's going to be the first year that all these guys are working together, and now he's got to set the culture that he wants, and he's got to start getting players that he wants, and blah 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 blah, all that stuff. So there's a lot we don't know. There's a lot of potential for things to go south, especially early on. That's just the reality of the situation, right? So, and then of course, obviously you guys know I'm not a super huge fan with the way that Stephen Ross handled, these firings and reorganization of the front office and blah, blah, blah. I think it's, anyway, we don't need to get into all that. But so, we'll see though. My point really, my final point is that we still have to wait and see. Again, I will love to be able to tell you guys that I was wrong about how I foresee these things playing out, but we don't know until the next year, and then the year after that. We're gonna have to take some time, and I'm a proponent for giving front offices and coaching staffs 5 years. Let's see if Stephen Ross will do that. If they end up winning, I don't think he'll have a problem with that. But let's say we do end up shitting the bed over the next 3 years because of whatever the reasons. It could be just because, new coaching staff and blah, blah, blah in their first year. It could range from just simple things like that to maybe, in 3 years from now when Brian Flores is finally starting to get things clicking, maybe we fucking just so happen to be the most injured team in the league again. Or maybe we have another natural disaster in Florida, which is a common thing, right? Especially as climate change continues to ravage the earth, that it displaces the team, and we just so happen to fly to London that year again, and blah, 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 right? And who knows, There's all kinds of factors that we can't see, so we have to wait. But, I'm optimistic. I try and always stay optimistic, but again, I gotta, part of what I try to do here for you guys is I want to make sure that I am honest with you, I give you my opinions and my perspective, but I try to be honest with you. I try to be unbiased. I try to make sure that I come with, the facts and the information and the data, and I put things into full context, right? It's not just, pinpointing one thing that, I dislike, and then I get all super salty and blah, blah, blah. Rich, real quick, it just reminded me, since I'm on my soapbox here, someone recently had said to me, that Tannehill has hurt us over the past 7 years, right? That Tannehill has essentially been a liability to us over the past 7 years. I know a lot of people think that, but I asked, well, what is that based on? Right? So oftentimes, the reason why I bring this up is because oftentimes to me, people just get, and I never got a response, as a matter of fact. I asked the question, but there's no response, right? So oftentimes I feel like people just get super emotional and super salty and butthurt, and then they just want to find somebody to blame. The easiest person to blame, the two people that are easiest to blame, quarterback, head coach. Well, what happened? Our head coach just got fired because all the Dolphins fans and everybody's being super salty, which for me, from my perspective and my evaluation of all the facts and the data, is that it was completely unnecessary. It didn't need to happen, but it happened. And, but it, and that's the way it is. And, Tannehill could possibly be out. We'll see, which I think would be a very bad move. And would only hurt us even more. But that's obviously another conversation. So, but my point is that, people just, they look for a scapegoat. They don't care to really do the research. They don't really care to find, the fundamental root causes of why the problems are being or arising, why they are arising. All they want to do is just bitch and moan and gripe and throw little temper tantrums and get all angry and then condemn somebody. And since in the NFL, the easiest thing that the easiest people to blame have always been the quarterback and the head coach. And so, it's just, unless you're Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, you often, and with a couple other exceptions, like Mike Tomlin, generally speaking, Andy Reid, there's some other coaches, but for the vast majority of coaches, they get far more criticism than they get praises for the good things that they do, right? So what I mean is people are far harsher on, coaches for the mistakes and the bad things, whether it's their fault or not. And then, when they do good things, it's just kind of like, oh, he did something cool, good, nice, whatever. But we're going to start harping on all these bad things again and get all butthurt and salty and then freak out and call for people's heads to be taken off. Like, it's crazy. I don't know. What is this shit? Game of Thrones? Seriously, we're just going to fucking start executing coaches every year because, what? They didn't meet our expectations of instant gratification. Like, come on, people, you gotta have more patience. It's an organizational thing. The entire organization has to have a culture, a chemistry. They need to vibe, right? They need to work well and efficiently together and have good communication. They need to find the right people, and they need time to do it. They need to build a foundation. It's like I feel like people it's like they want to build a house, but they don't care to do the foundational groundwork first. They just want to go ahead and build up all the framing and throw in the electrical without laying down your cement foundation or whatever your foundation is, right? And then you want to move in, and then when you have an earthquake or it rains and your fucking house washes out from under you because you have no foundation, then you get all fucking salty and be like, well, what the fuck happened? Come on, man, you gotta give it time. And on top of that, it's an 11-man sport. It's a team fucking sport, for the love of Christ, right? So you don't have one dude on the field right? Even Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady can't do everything themselves. They can't block defenders. They can't throw the ball, catch the ball, run the ball. They can't do everything their fucking selves. Not even Patrick Mahomes, the motherfucking magician from this past year, right? It's an 11-man sport. You think that if Patrick Mahomes didn't have a good offensive line, a solid defense, and tremendous skill players honestly, if Patrick Mahomes was, sacked 15 times a game, and now sure, right now he's, got the wheels to escape a lot of that, and he can do some pretty magical things, but he can't do everything by himself. It's impossible. Some of these players can do some pretty, outrageous, tremendous shit. Absolutely, without question. But it is an 11-man sport. If you take away if you just put Aaron Rodgers or Patrick Mahomes on the field with nobody else on the offense, no offensive linemen, no running backs, no wide receivers, and then an 11-man defense, come on. I mean, I know it's a super silly, analogy or way to frame this, but I really feel like people talk about quarterbacks as if that one player is all that matters, and it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. Okay, fine, put your quarterback, put Patrick Mahomes or Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady on the field with no O-line, no running backs, no wide receivers, and see how well they do, right? It's a ridiculous concept to even talk about, right? So why do we talk about quarterbacks as if they're the only person on the field that matters? It's crazy. Anyway, that's enough of my soapbox. I totally went way longer with this video than I had anticipated, so I'm going to go ahead and cut this here. But I had some news for you and stuff like that. Wanted to tell you about, talk about Darren Rizzi and so on and so forth. But I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. So with that, guys, I will see y'all soon, of course. But before I go, make sure that if you like my videos, you hit the subscribe button. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you hit the bell if you want to get the alerts. Leave your questions, comments, and concerns down in the comment section. And as always, make sure you follow me on Twitter @Dillon Tartaro. And with that, I'm out. I'll see y'all soon. Fins up.